Please take your seat for the start of Day 2 of the LGA Annual Conference 2025.
Hello everybody, I am County Councillor Stephen Atkinson, leader of the LGA Reform UK group, and welcome to this first ever Reform UK plenary at the LGA conference. Our speaker today, please give a warm welcome to County Councillor Jaymey Mcivor, Director of Local Government at Reform UK. Thank you very much.
Good morning, conference. I said good morning, conference. Have you had your Weetabix this morning? Good morning. Well, it is absolutely wonderful to be here, and thank you for that warm welcome, Stephen. And I have to say, on the point of welcome, I'd like to thank the Local Government Association for making our party, the Reform Party, so welcome at this conference. It is something very special about the democracy that we have in Britain, that we're able to accept election results and people rally round to ensure that people are represented in the way that they voted. And I think I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the partners of the LGA, to whom have been so supportive of our party at this conference and on the lead up to this conference. The Reform Party has a mission. Our mission is to save Britain, and right now we are trying to do all we can to save our many broken councils. From the age of 13, I have been a local government nerd. I was a youth councillor, then elected as a district councillor in my 20s, a county councillor in my 20s, and now I have the absolute privilege of working with our 13 Reform UK council leaders and over 800 Reform UK councillors across the country. And it is a privilege. It is a privilege to see the impact already our councillors are making on their communities across the country. And I would argue I probably have the best job in British politics, because Reform UK is the fastest growing political party, and I believe soon will be the largest group on the LGA. Now, local government impacts all of our lives. We know this. We know this because here at the LGA, we recognise that decisions that are made in Westminster, of course, impact our budgets. Of course, they impact the moods of our residents. But it is local government that is the frontline service that our residents the people of this great country feel the most. When local government makes a mistake, it is felt immediately. And we must not shy away from having the conversations that have not been had for too many years. Local government budgeting has been a disaster. The councils that Reform UK now control, many of which have been left in a terrible state, with debt interest payments alone on a daily basis causing such hardship for the people that are trying their very best, those outstanding council officers that do all they can with such limited ability and such unprecedented financial pressures. Because we need to face the reality that for decades, national government has just not let local government be a priority. It's just not been seen as an election-winning priority. Let's be real about that. Because if it was seen as a priority, we would see members of Parliament talking about adult social care. We would see members of Parliament talking about SEND challenges. We would see members of Parliament prioritising the fact that the county councillors in this room are corporate parents between us to thousands and thousands of children across this country. It hasn't been taken seriously. But I'm pleased to tell you, Conference, that Reform UK takes local government very seriously, and we intend to be the next party of government in the United Kingdom, and I can assure you that when Nigel Farage is Prime Minister, local government will be at the forefront of our priorities. Travelling the country and speaking to people during the election campaign, it was reinforced what I have just said. For too long, people have been ignored. 48% of the counties that Reform UK was successful in were rural in nature. And we won those areas. As well as the towns, we won the villages. And why is that? Because for too long, people that live in villages have been assumed to have wealth. For too long, people that live in rural communities have been assumed they don't need extra support. For too long, political parties have assumed electoral success in those communities. We knocked on doors that hadn't ever been knocked on by a politician. Imagine that. Living in a community for 3 decades and never having a local councillor knock on your door. Reform UK councillors, despite being new to the game, are doing an exceptional job of communicating with their residents post-election too. We cannot expect the public to engage in local government consultations, to engage with local government generally, if councillors do not engage with their residents. Communication is a two-way partnership, and we have seen for too long in this country people be elected and forget who elected them. Reform UK will never forget who elected them. I'm very proud of our council leaders. I'm very proud of how they have assumed office so professionally and, quite frankly, have made the media and some opposing parties look very silly. Chaos, you hear people say. Free fall, you hear people say. Not a clue what they're doing, you hear people say. But it's just not true. Our council leaders and our cabinets, where Reform UK are in control, with significant majorities, I should add. Significant majorities, for a reason. Our councillors in those administrations come from a wealth of experience, life experience, business experience, corporate experience, medical experience, health experience, experts in fields. They have taken office and they have put their head above the parapet to serve their communities, and they now serve the wider county in those cabinet roles, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. And as for our leaders, they've done an exceptional job. On May the 1st, something unprecedented happened in British politics. A wholesale election of 677 councillors from the Reform Party, a party that just last year, if I had told you the Director of Local Government would be speaking at the first ever plenary session with a large LGA group, frankly, people wouldn't have believed me. But it happened for a reason. And our job as a party, and our job working with all of our councils and councillors, is to ensure that the people that voted for us this year vote for us next year and the year after and the year after. And we will do that by delivering in office. And we will do that by having the conversations that people have frankly refused to have. We will take on those challenges, such as the statutory areas in local government. Why have we allowed a precedent that we can't go near adult social care when we look at the budget because it won't look good? Because it won't look good. I've heard this be said. We will look at every single department in our councils. We will find those efficiencies with our fantastic Doge programme, more on that later. And we will deliver. And we will deliver those frontline services, and we will make our residents proud. We don't really care what the media think, because facts will speak for themselves. We don't really care how nasty some of our opposition councillors want to be, whether that's abusing our councillors online, leaking rubbish, fake news to the press, because we are so determined to deliver. It frankly is irrelevant. All I would say to those councillors that have been somewhat obstructive to our new administrations, playing politics, I'm afraid that's why you're in opposition, because the public see right through it. They have had enough. And so my advice to non-reform councillors in this room, do your job. Do your job. Scrutinise. Give us ideas. Share good practice. Don't behave like idiots in the council chamber. It just doesn't work. And frankly, it's an absolute waste of officer time. Now, looking forwards to Reform UK and local government, there of course are our priorities. And in case anyone's wondering what our priorities are, I'd suggest you just knock on doors, because our priorities are the people's priorities. The people that we represent, the many, many people that voted Reform, that helped deliver the turquoise tsunami landslide on May the 1st across the country, they want us to challenge the status quo because they are unhappy. That's why we're rolling out the UK Doge to all of our Reform UK councils. And before I have to say the Conservative Party have made a bit of a boo-boo on this one. The ICO and all these silly letters for Twitter. Let's be real. Reform UK are going to check out those finances, and it's the leaders of our councils that will be controlling that programme. The democratically elected leaders of our council, under their instruction, the Reform UK Doge team will be doging our councils. And when we find those efficiencies, we will be communicating that with the people that elected us, because it's their money, not the council's money, not the councillors' money, it's their hard-earned money. And we've seen too many examples, for example in adult social care, of care being paid for thousands and thousands of pounds when the person to whose name that financial transaction is taking place has sadly passed away. That is incompetence, that is inefficiency, and we will stamp it out and root it out wherever we find it. And as for highways, well, let's just say, I don't think there's any party with a plan like ours to dealing with potholes. And I tell you something, the amazing technology that's out there at the moment, and our dedicated Highways Cabinet members, I cannot wait to see those roads be repaired efficiently. And it's more than just repairing potholes, let me assure you. It's about civic pride. It's about being proud of our families and where they live It's about being proud of our communities, and ultimately, we are the party that is proud of our country, which is why on day one, all of our Reform UK councils raise the England flag and the UK flag, and that's how it will remain. The people of this country are sick and tired of seeing every single other political flag, every single foreign country flag, seem as though it's more important than the flag of our own country that our ancestors fought hard for and sacrificed for, so that we may have a democracy, so that we may have an LGA conference like we're in today. Those two flags are the flags that we will fly, along with our county flags and with a common sense approach with things like Armed Forces Day. We are the party that listens to our veterans. We are the party that champions pride of country. And we are the party that is prepared to have the uncomfortable conversations that so many politicians have failed to have for decades and decades, which in turn has seen a decline in the quality of life for thousands and thousands of people in our country. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to lead a dedicated team in head office supporting our councillors. I'm excited to see the work of our backbench councillors in their communities as well as our frontbench councillors in our administrations. I'm proud of our leaders. And I'm also proud to say that just last week, the youngest ever leader of a council was constitutionally given a very important instruction to step up and lead his council, aged 18 years old. That, to me, sums up Reform UK. The next generation getting ready to save our country. The next generation putting themselves forward for their families, for their communities, and for their countries. And if you had seen the hysteria from some of the opposing political parties, again, it summed up why we won and they lost. So conference, Reform UK is on a mission. We're on a mission to save Britain. So many of our councils are broken, but I can assure you, better days are ahead. Our councils are broken, but reform will fix them. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go to questions now. So if you'd like to put your hand up for a question for Jaymey, and then the people with the paddles will come and find you and I'll call out who so whilst we're waiting for the paddles, I'll start with the gentleman at the very back there with his hand up, number 3. First. That's one first. What I can say at Lancashire County Council, and the officers will attest to this, we have a fantastic relationship. We're working together. We're pulling together on that rope to deliver. And I've not had a closer bond with any officer group. So we have mutual respect and we're working together. And that's my experience in Lancashire. But if I can just forward on to Jaymey.
Thank you very much for your question. What I will say is there are people in our councils who do an exceptional job, officers and members who do an exceptional job, especially those officers out in the field who have such an incredibly challenging job. Some of the most awful circumstances they have to present at, if you look at some children's social services cases, if you look more broadly, those officers do an exceptional job. But I'll make no apology for the fact that Reform UK was elected to do a job, and our job is not to allow people to resist the mandates that Reform UK was given on May the 1st. And any person in any council that seeks to do that, that seeks to try and prevent the democratic mandate that Reform UK was given to deliver in office, officers have to work under the instruction of the political leadership. We all know that. And anybody who frankly refuses to do that, anybody that is deliberately resisting that, then I think they are the blob and it's unacceptable.
Number one. Sorry, we need, have we got another mic, or can we? No, it's all right.
It just spoils the song if I haven't got a microphone. Jaymey, can I ask you regarding HMOs and use of hotels for immigration and asylum, how can Reform, or any council for that matter, deal with that matter? Because it's a huge issue.
Can I, for the people who didn't hear that question, the question was where there are hotels and houses of multiple occupation, how can Reform UK help to deal with that situation? Jaymey.
It's a very important question, and actually it's something that infuriates people on the doorstep, the people that we're elected to represent. So firstly, we understand, of course, that the majority of the councils that Reform UK control are county councils, and of course planning in that sense doesn't naturally fall into their jurisdiction, although I do believe that our highways departments are failing in a number of areas when it comes to planning, just allowing, developments to take place. Even in my own division, I've got this as a county councillor. But more broadly speaking, of course, Reform UK, there are 3 unitary authorities. The 2 that I've met with recently in Northamptonshire are already doing the blue sky thinking to ensure that we use every single legal apparatus available to challenge inappropriate housing. And I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to recognise that for decades we have had incompetent politicians that have allowed open borders to this country. And we are now dealing with the fallout of that. This is a practical problem. There are too many people arriving to this country, and there is not enough places for them to live. Forget whether there are not enough places. And it's been an elephant in the room for years. I'm so pleased that Reform UK are not shy to have these conversations. Where are these people supposed to live? These houses of multiple occupancy that do exist across the country are horrendous places for people to live. In fact, homeless British people, homeless British veterans from our armed forces choose to be homeless on the streets of this country because when they go into some of these holes, they are so scared that they are going to get addiction problems that they've just recovered from. Because we are allowing the British people to be second class when it comes to this sort of thing. So Reform UK will actively use every legal apparatus possible where we can in planning to ensure that these inappropriate living facilities are no longer. They are blighting our communities. They are causing crime and anxiety among women, particularly in these communities. And more importantly, when those buildings are vacated, and I include the hotels in this too, we'll give the hotels back to our tourism, and then just maybe, with some muscle memory, we might be able to remember how we were able, as the British state, to pay 250 quid a night for somebody that enters illegally. And then just maybe, a homeless veteran might be able to go to a hotel rather than a HMO where they're going to catch their bad habits again. You know, we have got to put the British people first, and thank goodness Reform UK are in control in these areas.
Well, Jaymey, I think... Oh, sorry, there's a hand here at the front.
There's one there as well.
Sorry?
There's another gentleman there as well.
Where?
There.
Yeah. Number 2, yes, please.
Hello. Stuart Galton, Leeds City Council. LGA is a membership organisation because those councils that are its members believe that we can improve how we do our job through working alongside other local authority partners to inspect ourselves through things like peer reviews and have mentoring. If you're going to introduce Doge, is that going to be an alternative to the improvement work which is offered by the LGA? And if you're not taking advantage of that improvement work from the LGA, is one of the first cuts that's going to happen in your councils that you will end your membership fees?
Thank you for that question, and I can deal with that straight away. Firstly, Doge goes to the places that elected Doge, so that's the first thing. There's a democratic mandate for it. In terms of peer working, obviously, the Reform Party is I would argue, the only patriotic party in Britain. And we want all of our people of this country to have more efficient councils. So that good learning, that good practice, I hope Reform councils will then be elected across the country off the back of that fantastic work when people learn about it. But if they don't, and if you have, if you're unfortunate enough not to have a Reform UK council govern you, then of course, as patriots, we want to make sure that that shared learning through apparatus like the LGA is shared, because we want our country to thrive. And of course, when Reform UK is the party of government in 4 years' time, led by Nigel Farage, we will then have complete control of the ministry that is responsible for local government, and you will see this good practice rolled out to the country regardless of which local authority is run by which party.
The lady here at the front, number 2, please.
Thank you. Sarah Calkin from Local Government Chronicle. I just wanted to ask a bit more about Doge, because it's been about a month now that you've certainly been in Kent. Can you give us any more specific examples of waste that you found beyond the social care one you mentioned before?
Well, first of all, and this is what's quite ironic about how the press have been handling this entire topic, we have such a significant legal apparatus to complete before the Doge initiates. We've had initial meetings in all of our councils, are very productive ones where I've been and had an opportunity to be a part of. Because, of course, this is significant, it's our residents' data. Obviously, there is a significant legal apparatus that has to go alongside Doge, and that is all in progress. So these opposition parties that are making a fuss about GDPR and data, I mean, it's just so laughable. And again, it reminds me why these people are in opposition, because if they read their papers and listened, perhaps they wouldn't find themselves in opposition. So to answer your question, Doge has begun in all of our councils. Those initial conversations are happening. We're working closely with officers to make sure there's robust legal apparatus there, so that when Doge begins, we ensure that the data that's found is only shared within those part of the data sharing agreement, which of course is the political leadership of the council, and it's down to the political leadership of the council what then happens and what next steps are taken. This is a democracy, and Doge will be working with the democratically elected councillors to ensure that the people that voted for them are able to learn about the inefficiencies. And of course, with the budgets being so tight, let's be real, there's never been a better time in local government. I think the Chief Executive of West Northamptonshire made this point very eloquently. There's never been a better time for Doge to happen in Britain in our local councils than right now when the budgets are so difficult.
I think I was just going to add to that it's not uncommon for councils to bring in third parties to look at data. We do that every year with the audit. You know, it's a standard process, but some of the data is sensitive, and Reform UK is really alive to that and wants to do this professionally and properly, and that's why we're going through such detail in these agreements. Number 3, please. That will probably be the last question.
Hello, my name is Jessie Jagger. I'm an immigrant into this country, now a British citizen and a city councillor. What are you going to do with me?
Well, I'd love you to join Reform UK and become a Member of Parliament, and welcome to Britain. And you picked a wonderful country to live in. This is the best country in the world, and very soon it's going to have the best world leader as Prime Minister, and he loves this country as much as I'm sure you're loving this country too. Welcome to Britain.
Thank you very much. Okay, well that's the end of the session. Please could we have a round of applause for Jaymey, please?
Thank you.